International Women's Day is a time for us to celebrate. It's time for us to come together and raise awareness on gender equality. I'm Shelley, and today I'm joined by Ankita, Aimee and Hannah, and we are going to go through a series of questions that talk about how important it is to give back and how everybody gains from that. So, going on to our first question, this is for you, Aimee. Why is it important to have a women's network, and why does engaging with other organisations really matter?
So I've been working as one of the ambassadors for the Women's Network for a couple of years now, and I think what it should and hopefully does is give people the opportunity to share experiences and learn from each other and let them know that there's a place in work where they can share those experiences. And the reason we, in particular, you and I, go out to a lot of other organisations is to find out, are we doing enough here? Can we learn from anyone else? It helps amplify the impact that we can have. And it also means that we learn more about how we can improve stuff here, but also back to the community. So can we help young girls? How do we make their careers better and pave the way for people that come after us? So it means that the Women's Network doesn't become just a tick box exercise that we do a couple of times a year. It means that we can really do things that will help our staff and new recruits to come as well.
Definitely making a difference there. This question focuses on feeling and meaning. What do you feel about the Give to Gain theme this year?
Give to Gain theme means a lot to me. I think as a leader, it's more of a culture building thing rather than just a leadership. It's a leadership model, although, but I would say that when you have the back for your team, you just make it more meaningful for them. I mean, they become more independent, they have their better relationships and you get the better outcome from them. So it's more like, you give them a confidence and you ultimately gain their trust and eventually make a better team. So all in all, it is quite reflective with women as well, because we are quite resilient. We are quite resilient, and we are, I would say that, we always learn from our mistakes and do tend to apply it with the new learnings. So I think that sort of a thing I would like to apply more with my team as well, and, help gain, especially the women, to bring it up and embrace those challenges that they tend to get afraid of. And it's a beautiful theme, I would say, and really worthy.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Hannah, has anyone played a big role in your career progression, and what did they do to help you?
Yeah, so I've been quite fortunate in my career progression at Creditsafe. So I started off in the admin team with Aimee, worked through the service desk and then into GRC and then security operations. So I've had quite a journey to where I am now. I would say at every point in my career at Creditsafe, I've had really supportive managers, and also things like the mentoring scheme has really helped. Even before it was very well established, my managers always scouted out mentors for me to have, and where I had maybe said that I was interested in a certain area of the business, they had always arranged, for me to do shadowing with that team or have a mentor in that area, someone that I can go to ask more questions, whether it be about, my actual day-to-day work or just asking more general questions about maybe how they would approach a certain situation. I found that really beneficial, and it's something I'm a huge advocate of now.
Amazing. And you've done amazing. Oh, obviously cut that bit out. Okay, so Aimee, this question is about impact. What difference does better representation of women in tech and workplace actually make?
So I think, in general, more diverse groups come to better decision making. So it's not necessarily just having more women in the room, it's having a more diverse crowd to make those decisions. But you guys can probably relate to often, better now than it was, but being the only women in meetings. So, and that sometimes it does make you feel a bit like the odd one out. And a lot of people, I think, will see people who have progressed further than in senior roles, and it's easier for them to relate and normalize their ambition when you see people similar to you in those positions. Like, for me personally, it's not even necessarily a gender thing. Like, for me, and as a project manager, it's helpful to see people who aren't the most technical people in the room progress and like lead meetings and have their voice heard. But I think that is easier when you see people similar to you who have done that. So it doesn't necessarily have to just be, we should have 50% of people. There should be different personality types, but you can see it particularly in technology where the numbers still aren't where people want them to be. There is a different amount of women and men in those meetings. So I think it is important to have more representation. And, you know, what we're doing today, a part of that is having the visibility for people to see women in these roles and see that those roles do exist. They might not have been considered careers in technology. I know I didn't have any female friends that were in technology, and I felt like I stumbled into it. So part of give to gain, I suppose, as you were kind of saying earlier, is I give this, you know, time and stuff for this to try and gain that later on for in those rooms, that there's more people in those rooms that can see those opportunities. So I think representation is important. If that answers your question.
Yes. Okay. Fabulous. Okay. So Hannah, the next question's for you. How do you feel Creditsafe embodies the give to gain theme and lives it within our culture?
Yeah, so I think the culture at Creditsafe is very open to people just walking up to your desk and asking you a question, you know, whether it's related to work or how would you approach this? This is, you know, an issue I've come across. What would you do in my shoes? That's something that I've experienced and also I've done to other people here. I think the mentoring scheme is really, really good at directing people to, you know, I know my mentor isn't someone I interact with day to day in my role in security, but I know I can go and ask them, you know, a lot about how would you approach this certain scenario? And the advice they always give me is very sound and also in line with our culture as a company. I'm a big fan of work experience opportunities as well. And as Aimee had already said, kind of paving the way for future generations and, you know, the people who will fill our shoes one day in the future. I also think at Creditsafe there is a really good culture of, yeah, you can just go up to anyone and ask them a question. And no one's ever too busy. Like there are a lot of very, very busy senior people who I know I could go up to at any point in the day and they would drop what they're working on to answer my question or to give me that time of day. And that's a really good way that everyone in the business is kind of giving back to gain.
And you see that at every level as well, like whether you're senior or entry level, there's definitely an exchange either way. Because I know seniors also will ask staff about what do you do to understand their departments, how things work. So I think it works on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It definitely pays to have a level of curiosity, doesn't it, here? And that is always welcome. So I think that's really great. Okay, so last question for you, Ankita. It's about mentorship, a popular theme for many of us Creditsafers. The question is, in what ways does your approach to mentoring contribute to the team independence and support the idea of empowering women in the workplace?
Thank you, Shelley. I think mentorship comes naturally sometimes, you know. But with Creditsafe, I've seen, you know, like Hannah has mentioned, that people are very approachable. And, you know, you can always go and ask something. So it's more about that, you know, people are there to give. I think as a team, you know, I'm a QA engineer, I'm a senior QA engineer. I've got a team of like 2 people, but we all build that sort of a trust with each other. Again, you know, we have that confidence and people don't get scared of asking questions. That's the main thing, you know, because sometimes we don't tend to ask questions purely for the reason that what would the other person might think of. So I think, you know, if you can build that sort of a confidence and trust and, you know, recognition is the other thing. So if you really, you know, appreciate and recognize the person who's basically doing work or has done something really great, it just adds up. So I think it comes naturally if, you know, you have a good team to work with and you have an open and honest communications with everybody. So I think, yeah, that's my style, really. I just kind of let it open to everyone and, you know, people can approach to me. Plus, I don't tend to make it very authoritative as well. Like, you know, you have to finish this work by so-and-so. It's pretty much like, can you do this? You know, as long as we're able to explain the end goal, you know, people can certainly relate to it. And if they are on board with you, then no one can stop the team or you to achieve your goals then. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think on that as well, what I've noticed at Creditsafe, happens quite often is that we're not just celebrating the final outcome of something like a project, but it's actually the collaboration that happens behind the scenes to get to that outcome. That's really good.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it from us. I'd just like to thank the ladies for taking part today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I hope you guys enjoyed listening, and anything that we can do to bring awareness to gender equality is obviously something that we thoroughly get behind. Thank you.
Thank you.